What happens when the most feared demon lord in existence gets defeated and transported to modern-day Tokyo with zero magic power, no money, and absolutely no job experience? He applies for a position at MgRonald's fast food restaurant and becomes Employee of the Month. This is the story of how the ruler of darkness became obsessed with climbing the corporate ladder, and how his mortal enemy, the legendary hero who nearly killed him, ended up living down the street, working customer service, and reluctantly saving his life multiple times. In the world of Ente Isla, the demon lord Satan commanded 4 great generals in his conquest to create a paradise for creatures of darkness. His armies slaughtered indiscriminately across 4 continents, spreading terror and destruction wherever they marched. But times of crisis create heroes, and a warrior wielding a holy sword rose to challenge him. This hero, along with her companions, systematically eliminated 3 of Satan's 4 demon generals, pushing his forces back until they stormed his very castle. The final battle was catastrophic. Satan and his remaining general Alciel fought desperately against the hero's allied forces. Even when Alciel was turned to stone, he broke free and unleashed maximum power. The hero's cloaked ally proved equally formidable, matching him blow for blow. Then Satan himself ambushed them from behind, only to have the hero rush forward and engage him in close combat. Her companions managed to immobilize the demon lord long enough for the hero to slice off one of his horns, a humiliating wound that signaled his defeat. With the castle collapsing and human forces overwhelming them, Alciel made the desperate decision to retreat through a dimensional portal. As they soared into the sky to escape, Satan declared he would return to rule Ente Isla, and both vanished through the swirling gateway. They emerged in modern Tokyo, Japan, and Satan was horrified to discover both he and Alciel had transformed into ordinary humans. When Satan saw a car passing by, his instinct was to destroy it, but the complete absence of magic power stopped him cold. 2 police officers approached them, concerned about their injuries from the battle. Alciel cursed at them in the demon language, which the officers couldn't understand. When Officer Sasaki offered to take them to the station, Alciel nearly attacked, but without magic, the mighty demon general had to comply and get into the police car like any other citizen. At the station, Satan was given udon noodles, which he analyzed using the last dregs of his evil eye power before hypnotizing the officer to extract information. He learned they were on Earth, a world where magic, demons, and supernatural power simply didn't exist. The lack of ambient magical energy meant they couldn't maintain their demon forms or access their vast powers. Satan managed to retain a tiny reserve of magic, but Alciel had nothing left. Survival became the immediate priority. They used hypnosis and stolen money to create fake identification documents and bank cards, then found the cheapest apartment available, a tiny room in Villa Rosa Sasuzuka, rented from the terrifyingly eccentric landlady Miki Shiba. Their first night in the apartment ended with Satan collapsing from exhaustion and being rushed to the hospital. The human body, it turned out, required regular food and water, a concept foreign to immortal demons. The medical bill cost as much as a month's rent, shocking them into understanding that money was now their primary obstacle. They immediately began writing resumes and searching for employment. Weeks later, Satan had secured a part-time position at McGronald's, but tensions arose when Alciel discovered him buying a refrigerator, washing machine, and bicycle. Satan insisted these were necessary investments, but Alciel worried about their depleted funds. The demon lord brushed off concerns, pointing out he received free meals at work, but Alciel refused to eat hamburgers and fries every day, claiming it would kill them before they could return to the demon realm. Satan ignored his subordinates' complaints, grabbed his new bicycle, and rode off to his shift. Working at MgRonald's transformed Satan in unexpected ways. He approached the job with the same intensity he'd once applied to world conquest, believing that accumulating success from small things was necessary to restore his status. He warmed baby food for customers' children, memorized complex orders, and encouraged his coworker Chiho to smile more, and handled the potato products carefully. His professionalism impressed everyone, especially Chiho, who began to admire him deeply. Meanwhile, Alciel struggled with unemployment and researched ways to restore their magic power, growing increasingly concerned that the demon lord had sold himself to capitalism and abandoned their true mission. Everything changed when Satan encountered a young woman caught in the rain and gave her his umbrella. Days later, she confronted him on a dark street, revealing herself as Amelia, the hero from Ente Isla who had defeated his armies and forced their retreat. She'd followed them through the portal intending to finish what she started, but like Satan, she'd lost her holy magic and been transformed into an ordinary human. Their confrontation was almost comical. She threatened him with a cheap knife she'd bought at a local store, and Satan mocked the weapon's 100 yen price tag. When she tried to attack, he simply commented on her lack of skill, and their fight ended with both of them being taken to the police station for disturbing the peace. The officer assumed they were arguing ex-lovers, which infuriated Emi. She warned Satan to watch his back, but he was more concerned about getting his umbrella returned. Emi had thrown it away, which annoyed him far more than her death threats. Their dynamic had shifted completely, no longer demon lord and hero, but two broke immigrants arguing over umbrellas and restaurant jobs. Emi's life on Earth mirrored Satan's struggles. She worked as a customer service representative, lived alone in a small apartment, and spent her evenings watching television while eating simple meals. Her friend Rika constantly invited her out, but Emi made excuses, unable to explain that she was monitoring the Demon Lord's activities. When curiosity got the better of her, Emi began following Satan around, expecting him to reveal some sinister plan. Instead, she watched him go to the supermarket, visit public hot springs, and have boring conversations with Alciel about cucumbers versus melons. Things escalated when Emi arranged a meeting with Satan at their previous confrontation spot. He pretended not to know her at work, quickly giving her a cake before leaving, which made his co-worker Chiho jealous. When they finally met, Emi admitted she'd been watching him for days and hadn't seen him do anything evil. In fact, he'd been living simply, working diligently, and earning the trust of his manager. She almost wondered if killing him was even necessary anymore. If he remained a powerless fast food employee forever, wasn't that punishment enough? Satan's response was characteristically bold. He insisted he would still return to conquer Ente Isla eventually, but then his bicycle tire went flat, and he actually cried about it. Emi was about to help when magical bullets suddenly flew toward them. Satan pushed her to the ground, and they fled toward the crowded train station. Satan recognized them as magic bullets, meaning someone with considerable power knew their identities and wanted them dead. During their escape, Emi lost her wallet, and because she lived far away with no money for transport, she had to spend the night at Satan's apartment. Alciel was furious that the Demon Lord had brought the hero home, but Satan explained the situation. Emi promised to leave early, and Satan generously gave her 1,000 yen for train fare, which Alciel immediately complained was too much from their tight budget. In the morning, they found a lunchbox Emi had made as thanks, and she'd cleverly locked the door from outside and thrown the key back in through the mail slot. Even Alciel had to admire her thoughtfulness. The mystery of who attacked them deepened when Emi received a phone call from someone who knew about both the hero and the Demon Lord. The caller mentioned Ente Isla and tried to manipulate her psychologically, but Emi refused to be shaken. Shortly after, she was called to the police station. Satan and Alciel had been caught trying to illegally ride his bicycle and needed her to bail them out. She was furious, scolding them for bothering her, but Satan pointed out she was the only person they could call. Emi agreed to help, primarily because she wanted Satan alive long enough for her to personally defeat him. Meanwhile, Chiho had been experiencing strange phenomena. She heard ringing in her ears and voices speaking in an unknown language that she could somehow understand. The voices mentioned another world and predicted explosions, which manifested as earthquakes. When she confessed this to Satan during what she hoped was a date, he realized someone was using sonar detection magic, a technique that created physical phenomena when targeting individuals. The explosions and earthquakes were side effects of someone trying to locate him and Emi. The situation exploded during a major earthquake that buried Emi and Chiho under rubble. Satan, sensing the magical nature of the disaster, absorbed the fear and despair of nearby humans, using it to transform back into his full Demon Lord form, towering, powerful, with six-pack abs. When Emi saw him, she prepared to create her holy sword and end him, but Satan shocked her by asking her to protect Chiho while he rescued everyone trapped by the earthquake. The greatest Demon Lord was saving humans. His actions that day fundamentally challenged Emi's understanding of who Satan was. She remembered her childhood, how her father, a priest, had welcomed everyone with kindness, and how an uncle had warned that even the great divine crown prince couldn't defeat Lucifer. Days later, church officials came to take Emi away, revealing she was the daughter of an angel and the only one capable of defeating the Demon Lord. Though her father loved her, he let her go, knowing the world needed her. Shortly after, Lucifer's army burned her village to the ground, and the priest encouraged young Emi to be strong, to inherit her angel mother's power, and learn to wield the holy sword that only a half-angel could control. Now, seeing Satan use his recovered power to save humans instead of enslaving them, Emi struggled with cognitive dissonance. Had she been wrong about him? Before she could process this, another crisis emerged. Lucifer himself appeared in modern Tokyo. Lucifer had survived his apparent death in Ente Isla, and followed Satan through the portal portal with help from Olba, a corrupt church official. They'd orchestrated everything: the magical attacks, the earthquakes, even the robberies that had been plaguing Tokyo. Lucifer had been stealing valuables and absorbing people's negative emotions to regain his magic power. His plan was to force Satan into submerging Earth in chaos, generating enough magical energy for both of them to return to Ente Isla and resume their conquest. The battle that followed was spectacular. Lucifer flew into the sky, using magic to attack Satan and Emmy together. Though Satan defended them, they had to retreat. Alciel rushed to help but was struck down with a fatal blow, though not before reminding Satan to always watch movies on discount days to save money. Lucifer revealed his strategy. By causing the recent robberies and absorbing people's fear, he'd been steadily increasing his power. He even attacked Shiho to steal her despair, knowing it would devastate Satan. Satan took a magical bullet through the chest and seemed finished. Lucifer laughed triumphantly, declaring the demon lord defeated, and let Shiho fall from a great height. Emmy rushed to catch her, injuring her leg in the process. Lucifer then used magic to collapse buildings onto them, but suddenly everything stopped. Satan had returned, more powerful than before, having absorbed the massive amounts of fear and despair generated by the chaos. Shiho woke up to see the demon lord's true form, finally understanding who he really was. Emmy, healed by her companion's timely arrival through a portal, summoned her holy sword and magical equipment. Satan made everyone in the area faint and created a barrier so they could fight freely without endangering civilians. The battle raged across the Tokyo sky. Lucifer was shocked when Alciel appeared, fully recovered and wearing his cloak for maximum dramatic effect. Olba tried to ambush them, but was intercepted by Emmy. When Lucifer complained about Olba's incompetence, the old man revealed they didn't have enough holy artifacts to return to Ente Isla if they wasted power, forcing him to fight seriously. Satan ended the battle decisively, using his overwhelming power to make Olba vanish and terrifying Lucifer with his killing intent. When Lucifer protested, Satan gave him an ultimatum: go home or get beaten up. Lucifer chose to fight, damaging surrounding buildings with his attacks, which only made Satan angrier because he'd have to use magic to repair everything. The demon lord took out his own holy sword, a weapon he'd somehow acquired, and defeated Lucifer completely. In the aftermath, Satan used his recovered magic power to restore all the damaged buildings and erase people's memories of the battle. When Shiho asked who he really was, Satan admitted he was the demon lord from another world. She believed him immediately, which surprised him. Emmy revealed her own identity as a half-angel hero, and Shiho was amazed that demons and angels existed. Emmy mocked Satan for working at a fast food restaurant, and he shot back asking why she didn't attack him if she had so much power. Emmy explained she was conserving her strength to return home, and emphasized they had no romantic relationship. Shiho could be at ease, but Satan didn't return to Ente Isla. He had too many shifts scheduled at MgRonald's that month, and frankly, he'd become attached to his job. The magic power he'd gained went into restoring the city, and he no longer had enough to open a portal. Lucifer ended up as their new roommate after Satan threw him through a portal, which subsequently brought him right back to Tokyo, where he landed in McGronald's refrigerator. Life continued with this absurd new normal. Lucifer became a shut-in gamer who constantly overspent their budget. Satan got promoted again at work. Emmy returned to her customer service job, and then Suzuno Kamizuki appeared, a new neighbor who immediately began helping around Satan's apartment, cooking meals, and generally being suspiciously kind. Suzuno was actually the head interrogator of the Inquisition Church, sent to eliminate both Satan and Emmy because the church wanted to cover up Olba's corruption and maintain their power in Ente Isla. She'd collapsed the tunnel during the earthquake, caused various magical disturbances, and planned to kill them both. But living next to them, cooking for them, and watching their daily struggles gradually changed her perspective. When Emmy confronted her about her true identity, Suzuno proposed they work together to defeat Satan and reform the corrupt church. Emmy refused. She didn't trust someone who'd tried to kill them both, and more importantly, defeating Satan was her personal mission. She didn't want anyone interfering. This set up a tense dynamic where Suzuno lived next door, pretending to be a friendly neighbor while secretly plotting, and Emmy watched both Suzuno and Satan, caught between her duty as a hero and her growing uncertainty about what the right thing to do actually was. The next major crisis came from an unexpected source: corporate competition. A new chicken restaurant called Kentucky opened near McGronald's, immediately drawing away customers. Satan's manager, Kisaki, challenged him to use any means necessary to win back their business. The owner of Kentucky was Mitsuki Sarue, a smooth-talking man with greasy glasses and overpowering cologne who made everyone uncomfortable. Satan sent Alciel to spy on the competition, and his general actually spent money at the rival restaurant to gather intelligence, an unprecedented breach of their budget. Satan implemented creative marketing strategies, including a Tanabata bamboo tree, where customers could write wishes in exchange for free drinks. The campaign was wildly successful, and Satan took great pride in his victory, channeling his strategic genius into corporate warfare. Emi, Chiho, and even Rika found themselves drawn into this battle, with Rika becoming fascinated by Satan's dedication to his job. During a festival period, Satan was temporarily assigned to work at Fushima Park's amusement area. Chiho wanted to join him. Disappointed when she couldn't, Lucifer discovered the park would have a haunted house and reptile exhibition, places that generated significant fear, which meant potential magic power. Alciel decided to accompany Satan, but after eating too much soon-to-expire udon, he spent the day sick instead. The amusement park trip became chaotic. Chiho, Emi, and Suzuno all attended, ostensibly to have fun, but actually to monitor Satan. They went through the terrifying haunted house together, encountered a monkey coincidentally named Satan, which loved Chiho's chest, and experienced a crisis when alligators escaped from their enclosure. Satan absorbed the fear generated by panicking crowds, used magic to drive the alligators back to safety, and then immediately returned to his human form, sacrificing the magic power he'd carefully collected. Suzuno couldn't understand why he'd waste power saving humans. That decision became even more significant when Suzuno revealed her true intentions. Working with Mitsuki, who was actually the angel Sariel in disguise, she'd been tasked with eliminating both Satan and Emi, taking Emi's holy sword and returning it to heaven. Sariel had manipulated the church's politics, eliminated nobles who opposed him, and blamed everything on Olba to maintain his power. The final betrayal came during another earthquake. Sariel revealed himself, easily overpowering Emi because his fallen angel powers directly countered holy artifacts. He kidnapped Chiho, planning to research how Demon Lord magic had affected her, and demanded Emi hand over her holy sword. When she refused, he prepared to extract it from her body, a painful and potentially fatal process. Suzuno was ordered to deal with Satan, and despite her conflicted feelings, she attacked him. Satan confronted Suzuno about her choices while riding his bicycle to the rescue. She destroyed his bike, which made him cry more than her actual attacks. He demanded she buy him a new one before taking off his work uniform. He couldn't afford to replace it if it got damaged in the fight. Suzuno's whirlwind attack destroyed his shirt anyway, which genuinely upset him more than the physical assault. Satan called out her hypocrisy, noting she was no different from demons if she'd sacrifice innocent people like Chiho for her goals. Unable to deny it, and realizing Sariel was the true villain, Suzuno switched sides. Together, they rushed to save Emi and Chiho from Sariel, who was torturing Emi for the Holy Sword. Sariel had flown close to the moon to maximize his lunar powers, making him overwhelmingly strong, but then something unexpected happened. Lucifer appeared, having tricked Olba into giving him Emi's bag, which contained vitamin drinks that restored some of her power, and Alciel arrived, having recovered from his illness, armed with determination and righteous fury about medical bills. The sky changed colors as Satan absorbed the fear and despair of everyone affected by the chaos. His transformation back into Demon Lord form was terrifying, his killing intent so fierce that Chiho struggled to breathe until Suzuno told him to restrain his power. Satan even joked about his premium underwear being battle-ready before untying Emi and asking Suzuno to protect both women. Sariel mocked them for cooperating with the Demon Lord, and Suzuno delivered a devastating response. Sariel had betrayed everything the church stood for by causing chaos, imposing fake peace, and abandoning those who deserved protection. As head interrogator of the Inquisition Church, she would never forgive his false justice. Sariel laughed at a bloodthirsty Grim Reaper talking about justice, but Suzuno pointed out that at least Satan wasn't a hypocrite. The battle turned when Sariel realized the moon was being obscured by clouds, weakening his powers. Satan gave him a choice: go home or get beaten up. Sariel chose to fight and lost badly. In desperation, he tried to take Chiho hostage, but Emi, now in a magical costume, kicked him hard enough to send him flying. Satan caught Emi as she fell, taking the opportunity to tease her about covering her obviously flat chest, which made her furious. When Sariel still tried to obtain the Holy Sword, Satan took out his own holy blade and defeated the angel completely. He regretted having to use magic power to repair Tokyo afterward, and Emi criticized him for fighting too leisurely. Their bickering continued even after victory, with Satan mocking her flat chest and Emi spraying him with something in retaliation. The moment came for Satan to return to Ente Isla, and Shiho couldn't bear the thought of him leaving. She wanted to follow him, but Satan refused. Instead, he kissed her forehead and said goodbye, except it was all her dream. When she woke up, Satan was still at McGronald's, lacking the magic power to return because he'd spent everything restoring the city and throwing Sariel through a portal back to Ente Isla. Sariel ended up in McGronald's refrigerator, where Kasaki found him. He woke up, became instantly captivated by her beauty, and declared them the Romeo and Juliet of the fast food world. When he tried to touch her inappropriately, Kasaki beat him up thoroughly. Later, he gave her roses and confessed his love, which resulted in another beating. The new status quo was absurd but stable. Lucifer remained as their third roommate, constantly gaming and making terrible financial decisions. He eventually scammed himself into buying 128,000 yen worth of door-to-door sales items, down comforters, fire extinguishers, and water filters, which sent Satan into a panic about paying it back. Alciel, disgusted by the unethical company, had actually been working there unknowingly until Satan and Emmy showed up to return the goods. Emmy saved them by invoking the cooling-off period law, since Lucifer was a minor and hadn't gotten his guardian Satan's permission for purchases over his legal limit. The company had to take everything back, and Satan smiled the smile of a winner. He treated Emmy to food in celebration, and Alciel was shocked she'd helped them. Satan joked that one day she'd be a member of the Demon Lords group, which made Emmy spray her drink in his face. The series ended with rain falling on Tokyo. Satan stopped at a red light, and Emmy appeared to return the favor from long ago. She gave him an umbrella to replace the one she'd thrown away. It was a small gesture that captured everything the series had become. Demon lords and heroes, angels and inquisitors, all trying to survive in a world without magic, working minimum wage jobs, arguing about money, and somehow, despite everything, looking out for each other. Because when you strip away the holy swords and dark magic, the demon castles and righteous crusades, what remains is something surprisingly human. People trying their best with what they have, helping each other despite their differences, and finding meaning in the small victories of everyday life. Satan never lost his ambition to return to Ente Isla and rule it properly. Emmy never abandoned her mission to eliminate him, but for now, they had more pressing concerns, making rent, hitting their sales targets, and figuring out how to afford groceries when one of their roommates kept wasting money on games and questionable online purchases. The Demon Lord, who once commanded armies, now commanded the French fry station with equal intensity. The hero, who once wielded holy light, now wielded customer service scripts with determined professionalism. And somewhere in Tokyo, in a tiny apartment that could barely fit 3 people, the most unlikely household in existence continued their chaotic daily lives, former enemies, current neighbors, and reluctant allies in the eternal struggle against poverty, capitalism, and expired udon noodles.